video in the series for how to avoid injuries when exercising. And so this third video is, okay, what happens if you to avoid injuries and you end up getting injured anyways? Maybe you said you watched the first two videos and you said, bah, I don't need any of that, and now you're hurt. Well, what are you going to do? First off, let me tell you, read my disclaimer. If you are injured, you should think about doing that with your doctor. Some injuries are not anything to play around with, and you can actually make things worse if you treat it the wrong way. Given that, I'm going to tell you my experience with injuries, because 3 years I have had plenty of sports-related injuries or exercise-related injuries. So common injuries that you could come up against is a muscle pull and a strain. In fact, if I were to rank them all, that would be probably 99%, now maybe 90% is what you could come up against. Sprained ankle, you twist that ankle the wrong way, you could come up with some problems. Shoulder injuries, I don't know, I suppose if you're doing some resistance training, you certainly could hit some shoulder injuries. Or if you take a fall, you take a fall, it's always a concern. Knee injuries, well, okay, if you are me, then knee injuries might be the top of your list right there. I suffer, I've said it before, glass knees. That's what I call them. Doesn't much for a knee to go. Shin splints. If you are running and you haven't ran in a while, or you're new to running, expect to get some shin splints. And maybe in some video I'll give you some tips on how to avoid shin splints. Once you get them, they're painful. That's where the very thin muscle on the front part of your shin gets inflamed and is sore. It takes a while for it to heal, at least sideline you. Tendonitis and wrist sprain or a wrist dislocation. So this is the common injuries according to WebMD. So let's talk a little bit about what to do. Here it is again. Like I previously mentioned, you've got an injury, go to the doctor. Okay. Next, easy. If it hurts when you do that, don't do that. Right? You pull the muscle, it could sideline you for 2 to 4 weeks. If my knee goes, I know I'm in trouble and I could be out of commission for a while. Now, I did have a minor knee injury just recently. Back of my knee, I took very good care of it. I was very careful with working out. I knew that that could really sideline me for a long time. Bracing it, caring for it, doing what I needed to do. Literally at the end of a week, I was feeling pretty good. So, I was very, very lucky. But I'll be honest with you, you're older today than you ever have been before. You may weigh more than you ever have before, and so you could be more prone to injuries, muscle pulls, joints, that kind of a thing. And what happens? It just happens, and you gotta take care of it at that point. If you got an injury, like I said, you can make it worse if you just push through the pain. So you gotta let it heal. And I may mention this later, and if I do, I apologize for repeating myself. But hey, if you hurt your knees, well, your arms are still good, so you can go lift weights. You can still do things with your arms. You can still do things with your back and your chest and that kind of stuff. If you have a shoulder injury, well, you can still walk, right? You just got to be careful with the pain. Make sure you're not making things worse. Now, if you do pull a muscle, one of the best things you can do for that is make sure you're paying attention to your protein intake. Muscles need protein to heal themselves, so you can put yourself in the best possible position for healing by eating foods that promote that healing. And one of those things is protein. Good protein that's going to help in that healing. And not just protein. You're going to need fibers. You're going to need fruits and vegetables. All the kinds of things eating healthy that's going to encourage that healing. But certainly with muscles, you want to be paying attention to protein. So what will happen sometimes is, sometimes I'll put my back out a little bit, or maybe my neck hurts a little bit, shoulders will hurt, and you get a Charlie horse, and then that just kind of makes it worse. One thing you can do is get in the shower, shower heat as high as you can, comfortably. Let that water just beat right on that pulled muscle, that injured muscle, and then try to straighten the muscle out after it gets warmed up a little bit. Sometimes that'll help. Always pay attention to pain. If you try to stretch that muscle out and you're getting pain, then don't stretch it out, right? If it hurts and you do that, don't do that. But sometimes a hot shower can help to loosen up some tight muscles. Brace the injury, okay? So when I hurt my knee, I made sure I was wearing a knee brace, not just when I was working out, but all day long, so that I couldn't further injure that knee while at a time when I'm trying to make it heal. So brace that injury can help out a lot. I already mentioned exercise something else, right? So you hurt your leg, well, exercise your arms. You hurt your arm, exercise your legs. And ibuprofen, again, this all assumes, you don't take medical advice over the internet, right? You talk to a doctor, you sound medical advice, but sometimes ibuprofen can help deal with swelling and inflammation and pain. So, that can end up being one of your best friends. I'm not a big supporter for taking medicine to deal with pain. Ibuprofen can help. So sometimes I might take a Motrin if it's a really, dull muscle pull, maybe backache. I might do an Aleve. Be careful with those medicines, making sure that you're reading, the directions and taking it accordingly. But I believe that if you can get by without taking that medicine, it's probably better for you in the long run. But I have been known to take some Motrin or some Aleve. Okay, now here is a good program that they came up with a while ago, the RICE program. It tells you to write the injury. You do a lot of healing when you're sleeping, but not sleeping. Here in the picture it shows somebody sleeping for rest. Off it. Don't use it. That can rest the injury. The injury help with swelling and inflammation. Experts have gone back and forth over the past decades. Do you ice it? Do you put heat on it? What do you do? What's the best thing to do? And the current thinking, today's thinking, and pay attention, maybe tomorrow it'll change, is that you want to ice it and not put heat on it. It's the injury to reduce swelling, bleeding, and inflammation. Next is C, apply compression bandage to minimize that swelling. So, for me, like if it's my knee that's hurting, I'm going to put a knee brace on it. The knee brace provides that compression to my knee. If it's a different part of your body, maybe a brace isn't going to do it, and you might use a compression bandage or something else. And finally, elevate the injury as much as you can, so that works in your favor. It's in the picture down in the lower right corner there, they've got a foot sitting up on top of a chair or something like that, I guess. And if it is your leg, gravity's going to just pull things down into your legs and your feet. So if you have inflammation, it's going to very easy for it to collect there. If you raise it up above your heart, now the body has to work extra hard if it wants to send that inflammation to that area. So elevation is really good to help reduce swelling, and it'll encourage healing as well. So there you go. That's the end of the third video in this series. I hope this was helpful, and hopefully you'll have successful exercises that involve any injuries.